Hey bosses, hey, welcome back to another Boss Creation Studio. Today's video is going to be all about sublimating on dark colored clothing using Subli-flock from Heat Transfer Warehouse. So what you're going to do first is you're going to duplicate your print and cut image. Once you have duplicated your print and cut image, you are going to change it from a print and cut image to a basic cut image. Once you have done that, your picture should have been changed from a colored image to a gray image. Now it's going to be gray because it's going to be from a print and cut is now no longer going to be needed to be printed. Now my image is split into a couple of different sections. So if your image is like that, all you have to do is go to your combine tab and hit weld, and it will become a basic cut image. Now, once you've done that, you can measure it and make sure the dimensions have not changed. So you're going to put one image on top of the other. In my case, the cut image is on top, so my printed image is going to go underneath. Everything is fine. Everything matches up perfectly. So now we're going to go over to make it. Now this part is very important. You are going to mirror the images that you are going to print out first. Those images get mirrored. Your Subli-flock, you are not going to print that. The suede-like texture of the Subli-flock is what you are going to have face up on your mat. So do not mirror. I repeat, do not mirror your Subli-flock image. You're going to cut that face up. Now I've already printed my images, but I'm going to go through what I did to print my image. You are going to go, I did it through Center Printer. I'm using a EcoTac 2760, 8.5 by 14 size paper. I'm going to be using my system dialog, and I'm going to add the bleed. I'm going to change it from my paper type to presentation matte, and my quality is on high. Then I'm going to send it to the printer. Once I have done that and it has started printing, I am going to go ahead and cut my Subli-flock. But before we get to cutting the Subli-flock, we have to attach it to our cutting mat first. Now I have pre-done it to the cutting mat, but I wanted to let y'all know my mats are old, yes, but even on a brand new mat fresh out of the plastic, it's going to have a difficult time of staying down because this is a thick material, so it might have a little hard time sticking to a freshly used cutting mat. So I recommend you taping down all 4 sides, from the top, the bottom, the side, the side. Now the number that the product is under at Heat Transfer Warehouse is 5901. So if you go and search 5901, it should bring you up the Subli-flock option. Just wanted to throw that out there and let y'all know what y'all looking for once you get to Heat Transfer Warehouse. I'm not sure where else you can get this from. That's where I get mine, from Heat Transfer Warehouse. So that's that. So now we're going to send it over. Send it on over to the Cricut machine. So we are going to do our cut it settings at iron-on plus. We're not going to do cardstock. We're not going to do bonded fabric, although it is some semi-fabric and it feels semi-bonded. It will mess your product up. It will mess your inventory up. It will mess up your Subli-flock, and you will not be able to use it for this particular project anymore. You would have to get a brand new piece and start this all over again. But we're not going to do that. No, we're going to set it for iron on plus. Iron on plus. That's all you need to do. Now I use my Cricut ruler underneath my mat so my mat can stay flat and straight. You guys, I know there's other people that use other different things, but this is what I have. This is what I use. It works for me, so I change it. Right, so while that is cutting, we are just going to go over and paste our images together. Like I said, I do not have a 13 by 19 printer. I don't have an 11 by 17 printer. I have an 8.5 by 14. So I have to split my images up. So now I'm going to paste them back, the pieces together, so I can get back one big solid image. That's all we're doing. So you guys are going to see this image, this product, this order a lot for these two videos, because in the middle of doing this 70 shirt order, I did want to stop in and show you guys how I achieved a part of this order, a technique of this order that I use with the Subli-flock, because on my previous Subli-flock video, someone did ask for a detailed tutorial. So this is the detailed tutorial for how to do Subli-flock on dark colored clothing. So now we're just going to go over the same simple things that you would do for other vinyl projects. You are going to get your moisture out of your shirt, and I do it on both sides, as well as finding the middle of the shirt with a slight crease. All right, so once you've done that, go through your normal process. Center out your shirt on your heat press. Now, the suede side is the side that's going to be on the top. On the back, you have a piece of paper. We're going to remove that paper. You're going to remove it nice and slow, because it's easy to rip, and you don't want to rip the Subli-flock itself. So you're going to do it nice and slow, inch by inch, side by side. All right, now once you done got your paper off, but my image, you got to make sure you get all the paper off because it won't stick. My image had a little piece down at the bottom that's not attached to the big piece, so I had to remove that piece. But once all your white pieces of papers are removed off of the backing of the Subli-flock, you are going to line it up in the center of your product, or wherever it is that you're putting it, because you can put it anywhere. Then you are going to put a Teflon sheet on top, and you are going to press it for 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds at most, just so it can adhere to the shirt or whatever material you are putting it on, that it can adhere to. Once you've done that, you're going to get your image, and you're going to prep your image for sublimating. How I prep my image, since I don't put it through the Cricut, I don't cut it through the Cricut with my print and cut on when I'm sublimating on SubliFlock. I cut out around the image, certain parts around the image. Like for instance, I cut down right here at the bone at the bottom of the image. I normally cut a little bit more, but just for this video's sake, I'm just going to show you guys that you don't have to literally cut so many pieces of it. Sometimes you would see me cut way more pieces so it can line up, because I guess I have the time, which I really don't. I just want it to be precise, and I'm kind of a stickler for perfection, so. But I've done this enough times for I can just eyeball it. Just make sure one side of it is cut out precisely to where I need it to go, and just eyeball the rest as I'm taping it down around the edges. So that's all you're going to do now is just tape it down. You can lift up a corner, make sure it's lining up around that edge of the Subli-flock perfectly. Or you can be a stickler like me and cut majority of it out, but cut it by hand. Because if you cut it by, you can cut it by Cricut too if you have the bigger printer, the 13 by 19 or what have you. But because I only have an 8.5 by 14 size printer, I can't really put it through the Cricut to cut, because then I won't have the overlay to be able to tape it back together for it to be able to do what it needs to do. So if you have the 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14 size printer, this, you do not want to put it through the Cricut, because you won't be able to precisely tape it back together to make your 3 to 4 piece image back as one piece. So as you are taping, you're lifting up the edge. Make sure everything is lined up for that particular part that you're doing. Just line it up. I'm sorry that my head is in the way, but I had to see what I was doing, had to see where I was lining it up. All right. Now, once everything is done, make sure you put on, you still got to use your butcher paper so none of it leaks out, seeps out, bleeds out onto anything, your press or anything like that. So once you've done that, I normally wait a few minutes when it comes to sublimation, because the paper can be hot unless you're in a rush and you got a lot to do. But just for this video's sake, and I've been working on these 70 shirts for long, because this is a part of the 70 shirt video, I just took this little part out so I can do a little bit more detailed tutorial on how to do SubliFlock. You remove your paper, your sublimation paper, A-sub paper, whichever paper you're using, and you are done. Your product is done. You do not have to go in for a second press to make sure it adhered, because we pressed it 5 seconds the first time and it adhered perfectly well. All right, y'all, that's the end of this video. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see more videos, please comment. See y'all later.